guys, welcome to Tuesday's daily vlog. So first of all, thank you for all the kind comments about my review on this guy. Turns out I was sort of right. This particular one is almost like the sort of weekend edition, like Ed Art do and all the rest of it, of this particular kit. Because say all the other special hobby ones I've seen have always had mixed media, as in obviously a little bit of photo etch, some resin parts, and everything else you really need just to make it up to, you know, a top-notch model at the end of the day. This particular kit didn't, but as all of you have pointed out, there is other versions of this kit out there that do come with all the really nice bits. So I suppose in some ways it is that thing, if you're on a limited budget or you're just going to be doing the full externals, you're not really interested in the internals, it's another way of actually purchasing the kit. So you can have it in the sort of the plain external version, shall we say, or you can have it with all the goodies on the interior as well. So there's the thing with that one. And I know, you know, I didn't go into great depths about it because obviously we're reviewing just this kit, but I did take it from the breakdown of the parts. So obviously it's got the different leading edge wings for the different cooling scoops and things like in there. So as I said, a lot of you have pointed out they've done a few other versions of this as well, which is really, really nice. But again, I stand by it. Really nice. The other thing as well caused a little bit of confusion was me saying about it's a short run kit. By that I mean is you can just tell from the engineering and the tooling of actually the mold itself that it's not designed for something that's going to be making zillions of them, are going to be coming out over a very long time. You can tell by the tooling that's actually used that, you know, like all injection molding stuff or casting, the mold is only going to last a finite amount of shots, okay? And you can always see the way that it's actually been machined out and the way it's taken. Usually the way I tell anyway is that you just look at the edges of them, see how sharp and crisp they are, and also by the machining marks actually in the mold. Now if the mold hasn't been polished, hasn't been, you know, taken to a very finite edge, usually it tends to be more of a short run kit. So they're not expecting to sell billions of these things over the next 20 years. They're probably setting a level, and I don't know obviously the company level, but usually the companies will make a mold for that amount of kit. So when I say a short run kit, this one's probably designed to do, I don't know, 20,000 shots or something else like that out of a mold. Obviously the cost of the mold is a lot cheaper than if you were doing something, to be honest, like this guy, where they've been kicking this thing out for the last 20 years and they've probably produced, you know, 100,000 of these, whatever they are, right the way around the world in various different forms. So they can always just go back to that mold time and time again and do another shot of them, and they don't have to worry about it with perhaps just doing limited stuff. So it's just really the material that they make the mold out of and everything else. But when you look at it, you can just see from the inside normally the machining marks and stuff like that. That's how I tend to take it, that it's usually a short run kit. It may be that just the manufacturer of that said tooling doesn't take as much care, or, you know, the budget doesn't allow them to do the final polishing of the inside of the kits. But if you ever want to see, you get like the swirly patterns all on the insides and things like that, and just the way the edgings are and just the way it molds, you know, the way the mold comes together isn't done to that same degree as other manufacturers. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, because a couple of swipes of the sanding stick and you're good to go and things like that. But I have to say, like most of you, I do agree, it's a cracking aircraft, and at the end of the day, the Tempest and Typhoon family, beautiful ones, and it's nice to see the different version of this one. Again, it's got like the radio engine version of it as well and stuff like that. So definitely very much a get kit. You know, if you want to go for the full interior, which I probably would if I was going to do it, I would want to go for the whole hog of it. My personal collection, I have this dream, if you like, that in 20 years time, Christy, I'll be 60 odd. But anyway, I would like to have a collection like a mini museum, if you like, and I've got a bucket list in my head of all the models I want to do, and to be honest, I'm slowly working my way through them. So like a bit like how I've done the Spitfire, the Mustang, and obviously we've just done the 190 in that form. So it's all opened up so you can see it, the workings of the inside. And I would just like to have, so, you know, you take those sort of the top tier type aircraft, or the more sort of, you know, well-known ones, right the way through history. So obviously we start off with World War One. God help me, I better do them sooner than later because my eyes won't go with that. And then work World War II. So obviously we're talking 109s and 190s from the British, from the German side of it. From the British side, we're talking obviously like a nice Hurricane and a Spitfire. And then obviously you've got the derivatives coming off slightly. And then obviously as you work your way up through, so like a Sabre and, you know, a MiG and that from the sort of Korean conflicts. And then obviously working our way up through A4s, A6s, stuff like that, all in 1/48 scale. And then my dream, it will never come off clearly, but is to have a nice glass cabinet, so you start at one end of time and you work your way up to the modern stuff. You know, say a lot of you know I did a commission for a gentleman which is, Christ, almost 20 years ago now, and I built him, and that's really what he's got. He's got a snapshot through history, but whereas I would just do a particular aircraft, and that would be about it, he did every squadron of every aircraft. That's why I ended up doing all those Tomcats, and Tomcats, Hornets, and A4s, Phantoms, all those types of things, Corsairs, all those things. So say that leads me nicely onto this one. This is why I know this aircraft so well, because I have built probably around about 40 to 50 of these things over the years, and that's it. So we're going to be starting on that in about an hour's time. Going to get the cameras all sorted, clear a little bit of space, and make our way through. Some of you will know, because you probably had an email already, I posted up on the forum yesterday about moving over to yearly subscriptions. The automatic system has been disabled completely until we get all of this sorted. So everything's been done manually. That way, the bit where we cancel a subscription, instead of the system suddenly going, right, you've cancelled, and you get a big alert message and you get taken to a funny page that says there's a problem with your payment and all that, none of that's going to happen anymore. What happens is that you'll just become stale. Nothing will actually move or anything, and then what we'll do is as we transfer everybody over, and I'm doing around about 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, which doesn't seem a lot, but Mel's going to be on it like Sonic the back end of the week, and we can maneuver a lot more of you over, and we can get you over to the yearly system, and then obviously at the end of the month it will then just move on to the new one. So if anybody subscribes as of the 1st of April onwards, you will automatically go on to the new rate. You'll have no choice. But if you do it now, you can then keep on the old rate until it expires. Now, a lot of you talk about, oh, I haven't expired, it wasn't me. Don't forget, what tends to happen is PayPal keeps your card on file. Now, that card obviously has an expiry date. When that expiry date comes up and you renew your card, it will cancel your subscription. It's a safeguard for you to stop it paying us forever if you forget. So basically, the life of your card. So if your card runs for, I don't know, 3 years maximum, something like that, then what happens is after 3 years you will have to sort of renew and do your bits and pieces, unless you've got it set up in a way that from a different funding source. And some of you have like a funding source from a bank account, but obviously clearly it'll carry on indefinitely. But it protects you, and obviously it protects us. So you can't turn around in years and say, oh, I've been paying you for 5 years and I've never used the site and everything else like that. All right, so that way, if you do get a cancellation, don't panic about it, don't worry about it, shoot me a message, or obviously come through the membership at florymodels.co.uk. That's the quickest and easiest one, because it's all nicely in one place and we can deal with those as and when we see them. Whereas when they come through the contact me, it's a bit like a dump file. So what happens is that I get messages from people obviously talking about reviews I've done, obviously business type things, general contact me, queries, and it just becomes, and as I say, every day we have around about 150 emails, all right? So we have to sift those through, get them through, they get forwarded on to the various areas. So if it's sales related, they get forwarded on to sales at florymodels.co.uk, and then obviously the membership ones go to membership at florymodels.co.uk. So they all get filtered, and then what happens is there's a giant bundle of them left, and then normally in the mornings, like now, I go through them now and try and answer as many questions as I can, or get things sorted, or for the guys who don't know exactly where it's going, I can poke it in the right direction, and things like that. So it does take a little bit of a while. So if you don't get a reply straight away, give it a couple of days. If you still don't get a reply, just shoot it again, because as I said, in that 150, I've only got so many hours in the day to be able to answer questions and stuff like that. And can I please ask you to check your email addresses? Because this morning was a classic. A gentleman asked me quite a complicated question. It took me probably half an hour to go and get the information, bring it all back, sort it all out, okay, then rewrite a message back to him with the links and the various things into it, only to find it bounced back because the email address wasn't correct. And I've got no way of finding out who that is now and everything else. So if you did email me talking about airbrushes and compressors and stuff like that 2 days ago, I've done you a great answer all about it, but unfortunately it keeps bouncing back because it says it doesn't recognize the email address. So please, can you make sure, because trust me, there's nothing more annoying when you spend half an hour out your day going through getting all the information and then it just comes back, but you're not a member, so I can't get you through the normal ways through payment systems or anything else like that. And if you'd bought something as well, I could get to you via your PayPal address and stuff, but you haven't, and I've got no way of getting a reply back to you. But I have done one. It's a very good one as well. But anyway, so that is about it. I'm going to be back with you at lunchtime, and hopefully we would have made a good start on the actual A4, working our way through that. So until later, everybody, happy morning, take care. Okay, so, and welcome back. To be honest, I just recorded this, but we had the delivery come to the door, part 2. Okay, so this morning, really good. I have been pushing on very nicely. So Hopefully you can see we have done the cockpit. Come on camera, catch up. So cockpit itself is done, no problem at all. It is that simple thing of a little bit of photo etch. Now to be honest, inside this cockpit is such a small, it's probably the size of your thumbnail from what you can see in there. So really it is a little bit of overkill, all of this cockpit system on here, but it is going to be really nice because it gives it a little bit of detail. We've got the seats which are going in there now. We've painted up the sides, so we've done these sort of side little cushioning on the sides there, very, very nice. We've put the exhaust together, so we're going to get that done, and we've also done the actual intake. Now you know me, I don't use white, don't believe in white, so we've used an off-white, which actually is my Star Wars white, so it's a tiny little buff added to white, so it just gives it a sort of slightly better scale effect as we work our way through. But I have to say, beautiful, it's lovely. I was going to have a bit of a rant, but luckily it's Tool Time Tuesday, so you're going to get that. Not going to get that. But what I was going to say is, how comes Hasegawa were knocking out this kit 20 years ago, basically, for 25 quid? And it's beautiful. It's recessed panel lines. It's absolutely gorgeous. No problem with it at all. No real fit issues, anything else like that. Yeah, other modern manufacturers. Anyway, we won't go down that route. Anyway, so it is Tool Tuesday. It's going to be a little bit difficult to show you because obviously a lot of this is, it's made up, and I know there's a lot of professionals out there who are trained and everything else. This is just a sort of, you know, an evolution that I've had since 2001. I think I did my first video on a horrible camcorder thing I had. It was really awful, and I have got some of my old ones here somewhere. If I can find them, I'll show you. And it was in 360. That was it, resolution, and you could only record, I think, for 4 minutes, and that was it. It was loaded, you know. So anyway, we've come a long way from them, but a lot of it is it's natural progression. It's not like we've stopped, built new studio, new equipment, new, you know, settings and everything else like that. It's just generally that thing of like, we just change something out, replace it with something else. So I know it's not the best, and before I get all you camera experts out there saying you should be doing this, this and this, it works for me, and it's what it should do. You don't need anything technical. To be honest, I've shot videos on my iPhone 7 here, and I bet you guys haven't realised it's been shot on that, where I've done things on the fly. So that's what I mean. You can use anything you like. Generally though, first rule of thumb, I will say, for all the technical gear, is light. Okay, so from my point of view, as I sit here, I can show you, I have these. So we have 2 of these. Now it used to be, I used to have 3 of those light things over there with massive great light tents and everything else, and this camera works really well at trying to show you these things. But the great thing about them is they are thin. There's almost no heat comes off of these either. They're very, very good. You've got a dial on the back, and I can dial in, and you can probably see it gets darker. There we go, it's just a little bit of light now, right the way through to full-on brightness and everything else like that. Now, I will do disclosure here. You might notice some of the LEDs are going on this already. Now this light is usually on for around about, I don't know, 18 hours a day, because I use them for light in here. It's not like we use them just for the studio setup. So I think they're on their way out, and I've had them in here now 4 years. So I don't know, they're quite expensive. They were £680 for the pair. Then I got caught by tax coming into the country and everything else like that. So that on top of it, it made them quite expensive, to be honest. Would I buy more of them? Probably, because the nice thing is, as you can see, they don't take up any room whatsoever. Okay, so light is always going to be your biggest thing. Down in here, a lot of people know when you come into this studio, especially at night, it's like walking on the sun. It's really bright, but as soon as you've been here just a few minutes, that's it, you just get used to it. Other lights, obviously we've got these ones over here, which are made by VTAC. Alright, now these are all LEDs. Again, these are LEDs, we're all LEDs. Great thing about these, again, they are cool to the touch, just a little bit warm, but nothing horrendous. So we've got 2 of those, and to be honest, I use some filter paper underneath just to diffuse the light to make it a little bit nicer. Again, hardly any power usage either. I don't know what these actually are. Step down to whatever they are, but they're not a lot. I think they're like 12 or something volt going through those, so not too much at all. So that's the main thing, light. All right, light will always give you a crisper image, and the thing is, as I move around the studio, sorry, I know you guys hate me panning around here and things like that, but when you're over here, you see it's all quite dark. There's not a lot, but over here in the middle, this is what it is. All of that light comes to this one area. So when you're over here with my big camera, where it sits here, okay, and we're saying hello, welcome to Flory Models, that is where it's all focused. All of that light is purely into that area, okay, and it's great, it's lovely, and that's it. It gives a good, clean image. Okay, so if you're wondering why your video's looking a bit grainy, your autofocus plays up and stuff like that, could be things to do with your lighting, because good lighting cures almost all problems as far as I can tell. Anyway, the other things, cameras. So whilst we're here, we have this, which is my monster, which is a Canon, because I do like my Canon stuff, but this is the XA25. Now the thing is with the XA25, they do another consumer version which doesn't have the sound on the top, which is really nice because it run and gun, but we are using a Rode microphone system into this one, and this does all the audio as well. Okay, we have backup audio which I'll show you in a moment, but this is primary audio for everything you hear. The Rode microphone, again, really expensive. I think it's about 200 quid. Beautiful piece of kit though, because literally what you pointed out at it hears. Good example, the other day I had the turntable with the A10 on it. That thing makes so much noise, you didn't hear a word of it. I didn't take any of that out in post, in editing or anything else like that, because the microphone, as long as it's pointed at what you want to hear, that's all it'll hear. It's got a very, very narrow field. You can change the settings on it to have wide and everything else, but for doing, when it's just me, that's what it's on. It just listens to me. Nice thing in here, we have twin slots, so also you can record the same thing onto two cards, so you have a backup always, or you can have it onto one card, and when one card gets full up it rolls over to the next one, so forth and so on. And there's different things. You can have one for video and one for stills imaging if you want to do it that way. I think one does normal and one does audio, so there's various different ways you can have it, or you can have it how we have. And the great thing about this one is, this one you might see we've got a BNC connector. Come on camera, keep up. Come on, you know you can do it. Down in there, and it's got direct audio, direct everything out as well. So you can take everything out of this camera and record it somewhere else. So it's just working like a 1800 quid webcam in theory, but a very good one. Usual thing, you can have interchangeable lenses on this, so when we do some of the live stuff, I change it when we've got the guys in here for a wide angle lens. You could put a macro on it and everything else, but we don't really need all that. But generally really, really nice. The big difference with this one is I can point it anywhere and it gives you beautiful clean image and good depth, and that's the whole point to this camera, to give you everything all in one. So married up with a Rode microphone, this is literally all you would need. Now if you weren't being a snob like me and putting your camera on face to talk to the camera, you could get away with having this pointed at your work. This is all you would ever need. Again, a little bit overkill, but it's because it's all interchangeable, so I can change everything on the fly. So we can do live things with this, we can take it direct feed out, which is the great thing about it for doing all the live work we do, and things like that. But generally it is a nice piece of kit. So it's around about 1800 quid we paid for it a couple of years ago now. Again, this thing is turned on permanently as soon as I come in the studio. The power all livens it up, and it goes through. All right. Other cameras we have, which are the slightly older ones. We have two up there, which you can see. The one on this side is my overall, so that's the entire of my cutting mat down below. The one next to it is the close-up, and that's the image you can see over there. We'll talk about that in a moment. So that usually the overall, I know if I've got a hand over the mat, I'm in. The close-up one, as you can see, technically is 3 squares down below here. It's zoomed into there, they're locked off, okay? Nowadays, they're both 4K cameras, and what they are is this. This one I can show you a little bit better. All Panasonics. I do like my Panasonics. Again, the great thing is when you press record with one, they all do it. They all run off of 5 volt now, so they're all USB powered. This one, to be honest, I'm running off a brick because I can't get a 5 volt over here. But the ones at the top, they're all USB. They're all 4K. The numbers for them are VXF 990s. They're Wi-Fi powered as well. They're okay. The thing is I love about them, you can probably see, it has the auto focus capability, and everything that is running off of this is absolutely wonderful. It is just so quick, it's fast, and it just does the job really, really well. Sound, yeah, I wouldn't bother with the sound. Don't worry about sound from these things because they're pretty crap, all right? Again, it's SD card, or as you'll see in a moment, we can do live feed out of these like we do everything, okay? So the big thing is all the cameras and all the audio. So we have audio 2, which is backup microphones, which isn't plugged in at the moment. But when we have guests that sit here, we have that audio goes on. Then we have another one for me. When we have guests, I have another backup audio. And you might see as well, the cameras have got mini shotguns on them as well. So you can never have too much sound, okay? This entire rig, metal rig at the top here is something that I just jerried up many years ago. And to be honest, it needs a damn good sort out. We had an electrician come around here at the time, and I must admit I've redone it. Through my various bits and pieces, but you might see we've got cable bricks powered up there and everything else. Now the great thing about all of these things is the cameras, the lighting, everything can move, so you can actually physically take this light off if I turn it off, okay, and I can say, well look, we've got studio, so we can move the light over there, turn it on, and that gives us more of a light in the middle, so when we got guests talking and things like that. Okay, so from that point of view, it works well. Same with the audio, we can move everything round. These microphones, we can just take off, okay, and we can maneuver them to anywhere you want them to go. Same with the big lights, so everything moves on this rail, it slides, the cables can all be put in, but to be honest, as you can see, I had to move around about Christmas, and I haven't put any of these cables back yet. It all needs to be cable managed. So, where do all these cables go? The cables all come off, all the video ones come down to here. This is one of these things where you can plug in our case 6 feeds into this and then 1 out, okay. It is powered by the mains and everything else. It does come with a remote control, okay. That then takes that signal and it goes all the way off into our PC where we've got capture cards in there. Now the capture cards in there, to be honest, are the Elgato ones. We've got one in there, we've got another one in a unit upstairs as well, and what that does is produce this image here. Now this image here is actually our software for our XSplit. Now XSplit is our recording software that does absolutely everything. So down in here I can go, well hopefully it'll play ball. So I'll let you can see this camera now. I can talk about this camera. This is the little one we were recording on, and we're doing the things to it, okay. So this gives us our overall image, which is on number 1. Number 2, we have our overall, which is obviously this one down in here, which is our cutting mat. Number 3 camera gives us our close-up, and that's what we were talking about. So we have our close-up down here, which you can see gives me a nice clear image coming over the top. And then number 4 is the spray bay, and the spray bay's done that because we moved the camera thing around. But if we move her, hello, you can see, or hopefully you'll see yourself in there like that, okay. So we've got all the different camera angles, and then to be honest, we have got others, 5 and 6 as well. 6 is a webcam which is off the top of the monitor, you can see there, for when we do other things. So when we have guests in and stuff like that, we do it. Now the big thing is, obviously all of these cameras have SD cards in them doing their bits and pieces, but down in here this can record as well. So actually what we can do, if we do number 2, this is how we do our thing. So I just go down here and it says coming soon, and we can stream this. We've got outputs, we can go live, so we can actually do direct. Now if I click that now, we will instantly be on YouTube. It is linked in, hardwired all in, so all I have to do is click that. So when we do live streaming, it is simply click that and away we go. We can do local recording, so we can just do down here, so I can actually record it to the computer's hard drive, and we can do it all like this. So it will record everything that it sees, okay, and then we've got other things down there. And then down in here you can see we have our intro, so this is all preloaded with our intros. And then we've got our full screens, and then obviously we look at forums, we've got our outros, we've got all 3 of us, and these are all pre-done in, so that's when we have Hans and me, when we do the live stuff, and then obviously if we were doing full Steve and slideshows, and we can play films in here and everything else like that. So it is literally as simple as that. Now this is for when we're doing all the live stuff is on this system. This is when I sit here and you see me having to run around and manage things and all stuff like that, is because it's using XSplit to export everything up, okay. The only trouble with this is when you're dealing with Skype coming in from the lads. So if we've got 2 Skype feeds coming in, both using 1080, I'm obviously streaming in 1080 and we're streaming at 60 frames per second. It can be a little bit hungry on my processor, which is something we'll talk about in a moment, but you might be able to see it. It's just down the bottom there giving me all information, and at the moment it's using 10% of the processor. It's running at 4.2 gig. It's i7 600, 6800K. And then we got a 1080 graphics card in there and everything else, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But that is how it is doing it. So I can either take direct feed off of here, because we record onto my hard drive, or we can take the SD cards from the actual cameras individually and do it that way. So that gives you another option of doing it and everything else like that. Okay, so I need to move this light back over here because it is really dark. So that's why we do this. We have this light just here. Okay, so that's how the video system all works. Audio, same thing, all gets piped in these lovely XLR cables which usually work, and then down in here you can see this little guy, and that's the studio mic flashing. They all come into this. Now this is a 6-way system, so if we are using 6-way, it can all come in here, and I can change the levels for each person, and obviously the different feeds, you know, it's a graphic equalizer at the end of the day, and everything else. So when we shout and go really loud, you can see it goes up, okay, but that's the studio, all right, the overall. But yeah, if we got somebody who's a little bit quieter, like John's always a little bit quieter, I can turn him up, and the various people all individually just down in there, literally like that. Okay, so it's very simple, very straightforward system onto it. It goes in there, and then obviously same thing, it goes from there into the computer shows it all up and does all our work and everything else. Okay, sorry, camera cut off. So down here we've got a little Bluetooth sender, which was sent to us by one of our members, which I can't remember who it was now. Absolutely fantastic. And then in here we've got, and this is how we do, hold on, let me just open this up for you. Okay, I have a little tiny earpiece, which is how I hear you when we're talking live, and we don't get that horrible echo and feedback, which the stupid thing is though, when me and the boys are just having a Skype conference and we're not live on air, we don't get it, okay? Anyway, so that's that bit down in there. Okay, so the computer, the heart of our work. Now this is all that thing we had all that trouble with. Do you remember? And I was complaining. You wouldn't believe how much pressure that cost me. Time, sleepless nights, worry, everything. All because of this. It's working fine now. So what we actually have is... it was built for me by Scan Computers, and this is my latest baby, to say the least. So as we said before, this thing is actually an i7 6800K processor down in there. Obviously, as you can see, we've got a GeForce GTX 1080, which is obviously for my gaming and bits and pieces. It's 16 gig RAM. Up there at the top, it's Corsair Vengeance. I can't remember what the motherboard was now. Something smart and impressive, and everything else. Solid state hard drives, right the way down in there. You can hear. I know a lot of people say you can hear it, but when this thing's idling, it's almost silent because it's water cooled, and that's the nice thing about it. You see at the top there, that's those fans all running up there, and everything else. Now it's working. I have to say it's a fantastic bit of kit, and as you'll see in a moment, I do all my flight simming and stuff like that. Absolutely love it, and it eats everything on maximum ultra settings. So if you're into Battlefield 1, stick this thing on ultra and you're good to go. Okay, and that is it there. Speakers, to be honest, yeah, big, huge, really good quality considering they were 50 quid off eBay. So yeah, Genesis, I don't know, Junus, whatever they are. Monitors. So as I say, I bought this one. I did do a bit of a review on it and everything else. I love it. It's huge, it's big, it's gorgeous, you know, it's massive. It is lovely to work with. Gaming and stuff like that is really good, but actually just real estate and working, it's great, because technically it's two 1440 monitors, because actually this is what this thing is. It's a 1440 monitor, ultra widescreen, lovely. That actually, to put this in perspective, you know, you see the difference, is actually a 27-inch in 1080. But when you grab this and you drag it over, it's literally just a little bit over half. I know a lot of people say about 4K monitors, but honestly, if you try and game what I game on a 4K monitor, I would need to have two 1080s and a far bigger system. I run my games at 100 meg, you know, refresh rate, ultra settings on everything in 1440. Beautiful, gorgeous, no problem at all. Okay, so that is those two. So we have two of those. Logitech webcam. When I do my voiceover, we just got a normal mic with there. I could do with a pop filter for it, but I'm not that technical, and everything else. So that runs that one. Down under here, because this is the sort of technical corner to it all. You can see my flight sim stuff. As you know, I did a video on it. If you haven't seen it before, you can go off and have a look at that one. And I showed you a quick run through of DCS. That is the DCS Warthog control throttle and stick, solid metal, weighs a ton. Beautiful. I've had it absolutely donkey's years now, and it is still as good as the day I bought it. Up there you can see my HTC Vive. I must admit I had a clear up over the weekends where it's tidy, but that's my VR headset. Again, it's one of those things. When I first had it, it was amazing and I used it every single night. Now I tend to get it out every now and then. I don't use it all the time. It's probably because I overdid it in the early days. Flight simming, don't get me wrong, if you want total immersion in DCS, stick a Vive on and use a good flight sim HOTAS system, you'll absolutely love it. It is like nothing you've ever done before. Unfortunately though, even my system struggles in a dogfight, because trying to do it in a dogfight, it is just so processor hungry, and graphically everything gets a bit jerky. As soon as it gets jerky, then you get a bit pukey, because as I say, when your frame rates drop below the sort of magic 90 frames or whatever they call it, you do then get a bit sick and you end up getting a bit pukey, quite frankly. And I haven't thrown up yet, but I've got close to it. And going through it like that. So there's that little system in there. Pedals, that's what I actually use. Just some, I don't know what those, I can't remember, Cytac Pro Flight pedals. Again, had them 20 years or so. Had them when they first came out. So had those a long time. And that is really about it from the technical side. Editing wise, to be honest, where's my mouse? Oh, well, you guys who really want to know everything, keyboard, I don't know, it was cheap off of eBay because the old one blew up. My mouse, I don't rate it that much, is one of these Rocat ones. I've had better, she said. Right, okay, so we just get rid of this. Okay, so for editing and the various bits and pieces around on this thing, where is it? I've lost it. I changed, I had an update. So anyway, Vegas Pro 13. This is why I love this monitor, because for editing it is gorgeous. It's huge, as you can see, and they keep wanting me to upgrade to 14 and I'm okay. So literally, I just have the last thing, a project I did on this was just a vlog, so there's nothing on here, but it's beautiful because you've got so much real estate with it. You can just move it around and do everything else like that. As you know, I do a lot of editing upstairs. We've got another computer, a slightly slower one to this one. So what I tend to do is I can render 2 lots of videos now. So I might have video editing going on upstairs, do all of that, and then I'll come downstairs and I'll do the vlog on this one, and then they can both upload, and away we go, and we're good to go with it just like that. So pretty good. Oh, for you really want to know, that up there is an IR tracker. So it's like flight simming or first person shooters, stuff like that, and you wear a little laser thing on your head. It's got 3 little LEDs and it tracks your head movement. So wherever you look, it looks, that's what that is. That's not a webcam. That's a webcam. That's an IR tracker, because I know a lot of people last time said, what is that? And that is about it. BB-8 up there, which is the old radio controlled little friend, again, really good. And that is it. That is about, he says, it for tool time on this particular one. Again, if you've got any questions, feel free, post them up. I'll try and answer them as we make our way through over the next couple of weeks. I know it's not the best setup in the world, and I know I've got people going to be screaming at me saying, oh, if you're doing this work, you should have this type of computer and everything else. It's a general type of thing. My system there, I use it for VR, I use it for flight simming, obviously I use it for video editing and streaming as well. And I don't think people realise quite how much guts it takes to stream high quality. I know some people say about our audio is a bit lacking, but honestly that's not us, that's it just being throttled by YouTube for streaming purposes and stuff like that. Maybe we'll change to somebody else, but generally the PC itself doesn't even break into a sweat, you know. As I say, it's down there at the moment, it's doing all these different bits and pieces and everything, it's running at 9%, so it doesn't take too much power at all to do all of this. But when you get going with live streaming and stuff, things tend to go out of your control. So certainly things like audio, you get that sort of croakiness and the slight delay. A lot of that is, don't forget, from us, I've got 2 HD feeds coming in, God knows what bandwidth that is actually taking, then I'm sending it out all in one, and one computer is doing everything. I know some people have said to me about having a separate computer, because I have got two, using one for streaming only, one for doing all the other stuff. Yeah, but they're in different rooms and stuff like that, and it all gets a little bit complicated. But that is basically it. It works really well. Hopefully you agree. Been doing it enough years now. Yes, there's things I'd love to change, and if I had an unlimited budget, I'd have a cameraman. That would be my next tool, and then you can follow me around when I'm doing videos. But the other thing as well is that for you guys who are doing this and you're using one camera, you just have it down at your mat, that's lovely. And I wish I could go back almost to doing that now, but people expect me to have multiple camera angles, so we run 4 camera angles when we're doing the normal sort of full build videos and stuff like that. But if you're doing it, just keep it simple. Just keep with that down view and do it nicely like that. You know, I think that is the best one to do. But unfortunately, I've sort of set myself up now with having, you know, all these different camera angles. You sort of have to use them almost because they're there. But if you can get away with it, keep it as simple as possible. Keep your audio good. I'm a great believer. A lot of people say to me, have a look at my videos, what do you think? Always audio. Light and audio before image even. Cameras these days, they are great. You just lock them off on auto and they will record everything. But so many often, to be honest, I had somebody said to me the other, have a look at this guy, what do you think of his work? I didn't watch it for more than 5 minutes because the sound was crap. You know, and the thing is, he's using a very expensive camera. I know the camera and he's using it, and I'm thinking, why are you not using, you know, you're using the onboard audio and it's just awful, you know. So yeah, make sure your sound quality is good. Good quality light, because light will then help the camera to deliver the best image possible. So if you've got good light, good audio, the cameras these days, they all roughly do the same thing, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. So there we go, that's tool time, and that's today's show as well. So there we go, hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you all tomorrow.